The pain came first. A fire burned beneath her skin, spreading like liquid venom through every nerve, every fiber of her being. It was as if she were being burned alive from the inside, as if her flesh were disintegrating in a searing heat that never faded. Bella could not scream. She could not move. She could only feel the fire consuming her. The darkness around her flickered in incoherent bursts of light and sound. Voices floated above her, muffled, distant. Edward. Carlyle. Alice. Edward, do something. Alice's voice was desperate. I can't. The venom has spread too far, Carlyle. His tone was calm, but even Bella could hear the urgency in his voice. There's no way to stop it. No way to stop it. The words sank into her mind, though the pain made it impossible to fully comprehend their meaning. Edward could not save her. This was the end, or the beginning. Bella felt her heart pounding faster, each beat driving the venom deeper into her system. The fire did not stop. It did not relent. The worst part was not the pain, it was the certainty. She was changing. Time became a meaningless void. Hours or days could have passed, and Bella would not have known. The fire raged inside her without mercy. But at some point, something changed. The burning began to concentrate in her chest, around her heart. And then, like a cord snapping all at once, everything stopped. The silence was absolute. Bella opened her eyes, and the world was completely different. Everything was clearer, sharper. The light from the lamp in the corner of the room did not just illuminate, it seemed to burn with impossible intensity. The dust motes in the air moved at a speed she could follow, each particle dancing in perfect rhythm. The sounds, Bella could hear them all. The creak of the wooden floor beneath someone's footsteps downstairs, the whisper of wind against the leaves outside, the heartbeats, the beating of a heart, and then the scent, sweet, warm, intoxicating. The smell struck her system like lightning. Her throat tightened in a dry, desperate burn. It was not hunger. It was a primal need. Bella rose in a blink, too fast, too light. Her movements no longer carried the awkward balance she was used to. And in the instant she lifted her gaze, she saw Edward. He stood motionless, watching her with a mix of relief and caution. Bella did not know why, but she could smell his fear. The sweet and tempting scent of blood did not come from him, but his fear did. Edward did not look at her with love, not with the devotion he once had. He looked at her as if she were dangerous. Bella opened her mouth, but her voice did not come immediately. Even her lips felt strange, as if they had changed along with the rest of her body. "Bella," Edward whispered, but he did not step forward. He was holding back. He was preparing. Bella knew it instantly. Edward did not trust her. And the moment she realized it, something inside her broke. Edward, her voice sounded different, stronger, sharper. And before she could understand what was happening, her body moved on its own. One moment she was standing. The next, she was in front of him. Edward reacted too late. Bella felt her own speed, her own strength, as if gravity no longer had a hold on her. It was instinct. Edward caught her by the arms before she could move any further. His eyes were wide. "Bella, control yourself. Control yourself." The words were a distant echo in her mind, but the thirst was the only real thing. The thirst was everything. Carlyle entered the room at that moment, and the scent changed. A heartbeat. Blood. Not like Edward's. Human blood. Charlie. Bella froze. The image of her father flashed through her mind with terrifying clarity. Charlie, with his unbuttoned shirt and morning coffee in hand. Charlie, with his furrowed brow and his awkward way of showing affection. Charlie, alive. And now, Charlie. Prey. Bella felt a growl rising in her throat. She turned toward the door without thinking, moving with a speed that startled even her. If she left this room, if she took even one step outside, Charlie would die. She knew it with absolute certainty, but her body craved it. The temptation was worse than anything she'd ever felt in her human life. And the most terrifying part was, she did not want to resist. Edward saw it in her face. Bella, no. But Bella was no longer listening. It was not Bella who was in control. It was something else. And in a single second, she made the decision that would change her fate forever. She ran. Before they could stop her, before she could do something she would never forgive herself for. The world blurred past her in an inhuman rush of speed as she sprinted toward the forest, away from Forks, away from her home, away from Charlie, away from Edward, away from everything she had ever been. And as the thirst roared inside her, she knew the truth. She could never go back. Never. Because Bella Swan was dead, and what remained was a monster. The forest stretched before her like a sea of shadows, and Bella ran aimlessly. The cold air didn't touch her. The branches beneath her feet snapped without resistance. She didn't need to stop to breathe. But the thirst was still there. It was like a void inside her throat, an insatiable burn, an impossible need to ignore. It was as if her entire body existed only to satisfy it. Every scent in the air called to her. Every sound of the night tempted her. And then she heard it. A heartbeat. Softly. Close. Bella froze. She could hear the blood rushing through her prey's veins before even seeing it. She could imagine how the hot liquid would fill her mouth, quenching the fire in her throat, giving her the only peace she could now comprehend. Without thinking, she moved. It wasn't a decision. It was instinct. The creature in the clearing lifted its head too late. A deer. Fragile. Vulnerable. Bella felt her fangs lengthen as she lunged. And when the first rush of blood touched her tongue, she felt something impossible. Relief. It wasn't enough, but it soothed the thirst. And in that moment, Bella knew she had a choice. Maybe, just maybe, she could control this. Maybe she could learn. Days passed. Bella hunted when the thirst forced her to. Each time she tasted animal blood, something inside her shuddered. It wasn't pleasure. It wasn't satisfaction. It was disgust, because she knew it wasn't what she truly craved. She knew it was just an imitation of what her body longed for. She knew that if she ever got close to a human again, she wouldn't be able to stop herself. And so, she stayed away. She wandered through forests, avoiding cities, roads, the lights of civilization. She didn't return to Forks. She didn't return to the Cullens. She didn't return to Charlie. Bella Swan disappeared. Only a ghost remained, a lone monster refusing to be what she was, until Alice found her. Bella was sitting by a river when she felt her presence. She didn't hear her approach. She didn't need to, because Alice was already there, as if she had always known where she would be. "I knew you were alive," Alice said with her soft smile. Bella didn't move. "I'm not alive." Alice tilted her head. "Whatever it is you're doing, you can't do it alone." Bella felt a pang in her chest, because deep down, she knew it was true. But if she went back, if she returned to the Cullens, would she be able to control herself, or would she become what she feared the most? Alice held out her hand. "Let's go home." Bella stared at her, and then she made a choice. She returned to the Cullens. Carlyle taught her everything he knew about self-control. Edward didn't look at her the same way. There was love in his gaze, but also caution, because she was no longer the Bella he knew. She never would be again. And every passing day, every time the scent of human blood drifted through the air, Bella wondered how much longer she could resist, how much longer she could cling to the last shred of her humanity. Because deep down, there was always that voice in her head. The thirst never disappears. It only waits. It only lingers until the moment you let it win. And when Alice had a vision, when she saw a group of newborns hunting in Seattle, when she saw a female figure among them, with eyes red as hellfire, Bella understood. Victoria was waiting. The fight was only beginning.